world, and welcome to Development Heaven. I'm your party boy, Vincent Martinelli.
And I'm your wet and wild stallion, Glenn Cagle.
It's a design podcast where the two of us talk about development hell and the changes your favorite piece of media go through. Glenn, we're celebrating this week. We got a hell of a show for you folks. We're celebrating seven episodes. 7 episodes, my man.
I wish somebody would have told me. Would have brought my party hat.
Glenn, I figured now would be a good time to bring back a old classic. I think we called it... what did we call it? Genuine Concern, where I ask you how you're doing. Just like, what's going on with you?
Well, I can't complain. I'm doing fine. No thanks to you. I'm actually recording this episode from prison because...
And how'd that happen?
I don't know, Vincent. Why don't you tell me?
Because I got you for piracy. I know. I'm sorry.
Vincent busted me for piracy in the last episode, and now I'm here in the state pen.
But you're excited, right? You're excited to celebrate this week?
Yeah. I've got my confetti cannon. I'm gonna pull it.
Locked and loaded. I feel like that's a threat that would probably be confiscated in a prison.
Definitely contraband. Well, I kept it in my prison wallet.
Gotcha. Gross.
It's still in there, so hopefully it doesn't go off in the middle of the episode.
Yeah, right. I'll give you the signal.
Oh, it's going off whenever it decides to. I'm not. I can't.
You have no say in the matter. It's in God's hands now.
If it's my time to go, it's my time to go, Vincent.
Great. Listen, we got like a smorgasbord of an episode today. We got double the bits, double the segments.
We're all over the place. Yeah.
You thought you had us, and then we changed it up on you.
Double the fall.
Listen, I know you were excited to hear the two of us report poorly on one subject. Well, now you're hearing us report on 4. So we should probably just get into it. Yeah,
I might add. Yep. Let's hop right into this.
All right, who goes first, Glenn?
You know what that means? It's wild card day, so we're just gonna draw cards from this deck that I've truncated until one of us draws a wild card.
Okay.
This is the deck that I couldn't find my deck that still had the jokers in it, so aces are wild in this deck, Vincent, just the way I like them.
That's not quite right, but I'll go along with you on this.
It's right. It's right because I say it's right. I'll draw the first card. I have drawn a 3. All right, Vincent, you're up.
That's a 2.
All right. I also got a 2.
And that's a 4.
All right. And, hey, there it is. I'm going first. That's an ace.
You did it, bastard.
Ace is wild.
Not quite, but hey, you go first this week.
Hey, baby, I'm in prison. Anything goes.
Anything goes.
Anything goes.
In this case, you goes first.
Bruh.
That was so bad. That was such a shitty... I'm trying my hardest. All right, let's go.
No, it's good. I like it. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about The Last of Us 2, Part 2.
Did they really call it Part 2?
What went wrong? Yeah, it's called Part 2 because they didn't want it to be like a sequel. They wanted it to be part of the same story, which doesn't make sense at all. And we'll get right into that.
Right.
So this game had a 6-year development cycle. So began in 2014. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes that doesn't seem like for a AAA game, like especially a Naughty Dog game, that doesn't seem that long. I mean, it's long. It's long for sure, but it's not like... My ouch
more came from the... I've heard the
fact
stories.
That they're in crunch the whole time.
Yeah.
Naughty Dog never leaves crunch. Period. And we're going to talk about that.
We should mention, right? We need to mention the Crunch Boys are back.
Crunch Boys.
Here we go. Talking about the things we like. So Glenn.
So the game was announced in December of 2016, but it was delayed twice. The second time delayed indefinitely. I think it was finally released on June 19th of 2020. Is that correct?
Should be. I mean, it was recent.
Yeah. It was the subject of a lot of review bombing. Obviously, I mean, I'm just going through the stuff that people probably already know. Critics really liked it. Audience did not. Most of the bad reviews were obviously bad review bombing because they came out like as soon as the game came out. So meaning people bought the game, immediately reviewed it before they could play it. There were a lot of that can be attributed to leaks that occurred on April 27th.
It's so sad.
Supposedly those were like hackers that were responsible for that. That wasn't like anything to do with the employees at Naughty Dog. Yeah, it's rough. That game really had a lot of like key story elements that were going to just like, supposed to be big reveals.
But then there was a period where you couldn't go on Twitter without knowing them.
Yeah. I mean, Last of Us 1 was pretty morally gray and gritty, but this one's even more so. I'm going to try to stay spoiler-free. I will stay spoiler-free. That's a promise from me to you.
Because you haven't played the game, so you don't know the spoilers.
Well, I looked up some stuff because I don't plan on playing it.
Right.
I don't have a PlayStation. Let's see. So I don't know if you're familiar with the story of the first one, Vincent. Are you?
I am. Yeah. So
do you know how
zombies? So I followed that game very closely.
Cordyceps fungus.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing.
Nice. So story-wise, the first one was a story mostly about love, obviously, between Joel and Ellie, as sort of like he takes on this paternal relationship with her.
Yeah, that game ushered in the dadification of games, where for a while after that, everybody wanted to hop on this dad craze.
Yeah, Dad of Boy.
Yeah, make you a dad game.
Yeah. So, but they kind of took that really nice like connection that they had, and in the second one, it's just like gone. Like this is a story about hate. It's a story about vengeance. As much as soft-hearted as the first one was, this one was just like completely in cold blood. It's a revenge story, which. Again, really interesting choice. I don't know if I would have gone there. It seems that they wanted to play it safe in some areas, but like did not in others. So yeah, in Last of Us 2, they wanted to make you really feel like you're not the good guy, or at least you're not what's the thing, a Christ figure or whatever the archetype is. Yeah. They don't want the main character to be that archetype. So when you like kill enemies, they have the other enemies will like scream their name, like clearly in anguish.
Yeah.
Which is just one of those classic Naughty Dog touches that they put on like every game. You played Uncharted, right?
Yeah. Big time.
And how like when you there's an example of like when you shoot the sacks of grain, like the individual kernels fall out and the grain and the sack like deflates, and it's like it's not a gameplay aspect. Like it's not like the enemies are going to trip over or anything. It's literally just like to make you feel more like the world is tangible. Yeah. With Naughty Dog, the devil is in the details. In The Last of Us 1, when you shine the flashlight in Ellie's face, she like blinks and looks away. When you walk up to a wall and like kind of crouch behind it, they'll put their hand up on the wall like as if they're creeping along it. Just things that like it's just you don't even think about it. Like when you're playing the game, it doesn't really change it in any way. They could have totally not done that, and you would have liked the game probably just as much.
But it's an immersion thing.
It's an immersion thing, and Naughty Dog is all about that, which is why their crunch culture is just so ghastly. Speaking of which, I think something like 14 out of 20 of the designers, not the lead designers, but like the other designers that are listed in the credits of Uncharted 4, quit after Uncharted 4 was released.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
14 out of 20. Jeez.
Yeah.
And I think they dude, this company's nuts. People come in wearing masks. Like this is before Corona. People would come in wearing masks if they had a cough so that they could keep working.
Yeah.
People tend to leave this company whenever they get married because they finally have somebody to tell them that it's not healthy to go in.
That is wrong.
From like
what you're doing
9
is wrong.
a.m. to like 12 midnight every single day and weekends.
Damn.
Like, yeah.
You game developers are another breed, man.
It's the thing about like it's like, oh, I'm doing what I love, why do I need to take a break if this is if this is what I want to do anyway.
Yeah.
And I feel like Naughty Dog is kind of predatory in that way because they intentionally hire people who have that sort of moral fiber where they can work long hours and really get into it. But take advantage of them. Yeah. Okay. That's what I was about to say. I thought we were going to debate this, and it was but no. Yeah. Looks like we agree. They are just taking advantage of people, that are willing to do that. They serve dinner at their office, which is just like, jeez, just don't do that.
Yeah.
Send them
people
home.
Leave. It sounds like prison.
Well, they are. That's the thing. It's like, oh, you're allowed to go home, but it's like they're not going to. What was I gonna say? I think that the company Clay Entertainment has like a quota, like you can't work more than a certain amount, they'll send you home. And they make
most companies have
games.
that, yeah.
Like Don't Starve and stuff like that. Really a big fan of Clay Entertainment.
Don't Starve is a game. You made that sound like it was a command.
Both. It's both. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. Another thing, like when they move the deadline, like they did for Uncharted 2, it just makes it so much worse. It's because, I was reading an article and they're like, oh, the term release date is so poetic for the employees at Naughty Dog because it's the date that they will be released.
Oh, it's like a slam poetry.
Yeah, it is. It's funny though. I mean, it is kind of true. Like I've totally been in a situation where like a teacher's giving me an assignment like in college, and they were like, and they moved the due date back, and it's like I hate you. Don't move the due date back because I will find more things to do in that time. Like everyone that's ever done anything creative knows that it's not really finished until you're told it's finished. So you kind of have to be told it's done. So originally in Last of Us Part 1, it was going to be, they had the working title Mankind, and it was sort of a play on words because they were going to have the cordyceps fungus only affect women. So you're playing as Joel, who finds the only woman left on Earth, and you have to bring her to safety. Yeah. Which would have been really interesting. In fact, there's a game that may have been inspired by that original concept called Lisa, which it's exactly the same story.
Right. You told me about Lisa.
You play as you play as a guy who finds the only girl left on Earth. And that one works pretty well because it's like the story is about protecting her from all the horrors in a world that's only men, bound to die. Like these people are just living out their lives until they perish. And the world, and humanity's done. So, a bunch of people with nothing left to lose. It makes for a really interesting story and a really interesting universe. The problem in Last of Us was that it's a zombie game, so the enemies that you're killing are only women infected with the fungus, and it just turns into this misogynistic thing where you play as a neckbeard shooting, women in the face.
Yeah.
Not great.
No.
So they changed that one real quick. Yeah, I don't know. It would have been interesting, but I think Lisa did it way better. In the second one, I don't know if have you seen the trailer for it?
Yeah.
The dance scene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that originally that dance scene was supposed to be playable, which would have been really cool. They had this that free roaming thing. Like apparently it would have made so much more sense because we're gonna have it in this first scene as well, where you can roam about the town while the dance is going on before going. And so they were gonna expound on Ellie's character as like an introvert. She's kind of deciding does she want to go or not. She knows her crush is gonna be there, so she gets a little bit scared. And you can like mix drinks and like there's a lot of like fun things to interact with. You can like scare kids like and chase them around and stuff like that. It's really cute.
It's kind of cruel.
And then you go to the dance and I don't know, maybe you play like a rhythm game.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it would have been awesome. It's like that like we were talking about the hero's journey a lot on this podcast. It's kind of like that status quo. Like every hero's journey starts with a certain status quo before the call to action. And I guess they did kind of do that, but they delivered it with a cutscene, which is, fine, I guess, but I think it would have been cool to play that part. I don't want to do too much hating on Last of Us 2 or Naughty Dog. It's pretty topical. It's so, you can make your
don't
own
let our
opinions
opinions sway you. Live your own life.
Yep.
Glenn, for my first topic, I'm also talking about zombies. So that's a fun little bit of synergy we got working for us.
Yeah, but are yours fungus zombies?
I wish. I'm talking about World War Z. World War Z would have been so much better if it was fungus zombies.
Okay, but tell me, what do you like about fungus zombies? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, I'll tell you what I like. I like fungus. And I like zombies. And I like those two things separately. Check. And so together, it's like a dream come true. Okay. So you're thinking, when you say you like fungus, I imagine you're saying like, oh, you like a nice portobello mushroom in your salad? Hell yeah. So what you're thinking is like, in the zombie apocalypse, you'd be set because you can just shoot a zombie, cut the fungus off, it'd be tasty, and then put it in a salad. It'd probably be gross, but I bet. Yeah. Also, fungus zombies just freak me out a little bit because that's the closest thing to, real zombies, I guess. Yeah, the cordyceps fungus from Last of Us was actually based on a real fungus that like turns insects into zombies. Yeah, it's like things that ants get. I don't know. I went through a whole zombie thing and it would have had to be middle school, but I was buck wild about them. Couldn't get enough of those dang old zombies. And that's actually part of what I wanted to talk about today. Did you ever read World War Z? Like, are you familiar with the source material at all? I've this is dumb. I've actually read comparisons of the movie and the book, so I've never read or watched either. But I've okay. But you're still invested. Watched, I'm still invested. Yeah. Yeah, it's such a shitty adaptation of the book. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, so I think if I remember correctly, in the book World War Z, they wanted to the author really wanted to highlight the system, government, how our government's responding to this, because no other zombie material seems to do this. They just focus on the people getting trod on. So it was written by Max Brooks, who did a lot of zombie stuff. He's the son of Mel Brooks, the comedy guy. Oh, really? Max Brooks wrote all the zombie books. And for a really long time, longer than I would care to admit, I took them as nonfiction. He wrote a book that I had in middle school called the Zombie Apocalypse Survival Guide. I should actually look up what it's called. Yeah. I think I've heard of that. I think I've actually seen that. It's just called, the Zombie Survival Guide. Back when I was in Scouts, there was a this spoof merit badge that you could get called Zombie Apocalypse Survival or something like that, and I think they based it off that book. I had the same one. Nice. Yeah, so dude, we might have both been there. It's very likely we could have. In middle school. So this is definitely actually what set me down this path. There was an optional spoof merit badge that was about zombie survival, and the guy that was teaching it was listen, if you're into this sort of thing, check out Max Brooks' Zombie Survival Guide. And I took that as a guide to life in middle school, which totally would do a good job explaining how I turned out now, if that was my nonfiction. But it was a hard day for me when I looked on the back and I saw that it was labeled as comedy. As a comedy book. Well, it wasn't too funny. Not for me. No, it was heartbreaking. I still think about sometimes, when you're awake at night thinking about the things that you regret saying. One of my big ones was the amount of times I've tried to convince people that, hey, you better take this book seriously. It's That's the worst. Awesome, dude. Yeah. Anyway, World War Z was written like the style. It's like it's a journalist reporting on the events that like had happened following the apocalypse. Like apocalypse had ended, and he's reporting on it. It's a good book. It is, and so the fact that the Brad Pitt one is just sort of a bland, faceless movie with zombies in it and
it's just
the name.
Movie,
it was lame. Another complaint.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like in the book, weren't the zombies like slow and weak, and like the author wanted it to make it so that you could so that the zombie apocalypse is our fault, sort of like these zombies are so easy to take care of, but we just didn't. And in the movie, the zombies were like fast.
Mm-hmm. There were
so it was like really
there's a lot of
really hard
themes
to
in the
beat
book.
them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So besides that,
just dashed in the movie.
There really were like that might have been the first time I saw fast zombies. So
That's why
they
it
were
freaked you out so much.
They were cool in that regard. I wanted to like the movie, man. I really did. But I couldn't bring myself.
The classic zombie has rigor mortis, so he's like really rigid and can't move. Mm-hmm. And the whole thing is like they're easy in singles, but in hordes they're deadly.
Do you have any idea how many dead people there are? There's so many.
So many dead people. I don't know, man. What would we call zombies in our universe? You know how like every universe has like a weird name for zombies, like
like tweakers
or walkers.
Yeah. Oh man. How about? Did you say flicker?
I think they're called clickers in.
Oh, clickers. Yeah. I've heard of clickers.
In Last of Us, right?
How about flickers? Like
flickers,
with an F.
Okay.
Yeah, flicker.
Is it because they like flicker? Like they have like lights behind their eyes or something that turn on and off?
No.
Usually it's related to something in the universe, right?
It could be, but no.
Okay.
How about we just call them zombies? You know, the weird thing... I've always felt like the weird thing about having the... a special name for zombies in the universe, it means that the idea of zombies hadn't existed in that universe.
Right. Yeah.
Which is weird. It's like a weird world building thing.
Walking Dead.
Yeah, but like... I get it more in the Last of Us games where it's kind of a unique thing, but when it's just a straight up like pop culture zombie, why not just call them that? Because that's I don't know, probably branding.
Are you
would be
calling
the
out
reason.
The Walking Dead?
I don't like The Walking Dead that much.
I've never watched it. I mean, I never really had an interest in it. Zombies aren't really my thing. I watched iZombie. I really liked iZombie, but it's a comedy. It's not a zombie movie.
Yeah, it's not. So there were a lot of complaints about World War Z, right? We know this, but one of the bigger ones is the ending is like super anticlimactic. There's a lot of action sequences,
Spoiler
that are
alert.
Spoiler alert for World War Z. You don't care. Nobody cares about it. There's a lot of interesting action sequences that are, made up for the movie, but you see Brad Pitt go through all these, and then in the end, he's just kind of like walking around a hospital and not fighting anybody, and he cracks open an ice cold Pepsi and takes a big swig of that.
Okay.
And that's sort of just the ending. Like he figures out how to not get killed by the zombies, and so he just stops.
Which is...
they don't attack sick people.
So you just stay sick?
So he injected himself with like the flu virus. Anyway, I mean it's
so
whatever.
bad.
Well, no, but the stakes were he didn't know which virus would be deadly and which one wouldn't be. But no, he was just fine, and he took a big swig of Pepsi, and everything turned out okay.
So he had to take inoculate himself with flu or some virus, not knowing whether it would kill him or not, and it was just like a 50-50.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that just epic?
Yeah, just super fun, and so apparently
there's
the
a
ending...
way to do that. There's a way to do that, like ending where it's like, oh, was it all for naught? Like, but that's not how you do it.
But no, in the end, he finds everything. He finds the cure, and then all the zombies die, which is weird because they really wanted to make a sequel out of this. So the fact that
they made a cure instead.
Yeah, the fact that they figured out how to do it is, well, it's strange. Anyway.
Yeah.
That wasn't...
You know what I really like?
Yeah.
what I really like is the sort of like rebuilding.
Totally,
it's
dude.
not so much not so much the zombie apocalypse, but like the next generation where we're like, okay, we're actually gonna, so they don't find a cure. They build they build a wall or something, and they're just trying to like rebuild society while the zombies are still like, out there.
Yeah, that stuff rules.
That's what I'm into. Unfortunately, that a lot of times just turns into like YA like dramas. Like
it's a good
100.
setup. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you'd believe it, that ending with the Pepsi is actually a reshoot because originally
it's a Pepsi commercial.
It's a Pepsi commercial because Brad Pitt was supposed to actually fight zombies in the end, and it was going to be an action set piece. So the plan was that there was this whole big zombie battle, and it was going to be set in Russia. Part of World War Z is that it's like all over the place. They're flying everywhere, and something always goes wrong because there's zombies. But it's all over the shop. And in the end, it was going to be in Russia, and it was just going to be Brad Pitt fighting just a whole lot of zombies. And it was like, in the wiki, they describe it as like it was this big hero moment. But
okay,
they had to change the scene because they ran into issues with the police. So they flew to Budapest actually to shoot this Russian scene. I don't know. I mean, a lot of the movie was shot in England and Scotland.
Okay.
And so for the Russia scene, they flew to Budapest. And when they came in, they flew in all of their like props, their prop guns in this private aircraft, and they all got it stored in this Hungarian warehouse. Apparently, though, they hadn't registered the
prop guns.
They hadn't registered the prop guns with the Hungarian anti-terrorism organization. So the government goes in and is like, hey, you can't do that. And so they confiscate the guns. And as they're doing this, they realize that all 85 of these prop guns that they ordered were just real, regular guns in perfect working order.
What?
They were using, and so for all of the shooting... Well, yeah, I mean... Prop guns sometimes, and it obviously would be the case here, is that they're
right
disabled.
weight.
Yeah, but they would be, they aren't supposed to work. They take out all the parts that make it work.
The thing about that, like, okay, so for a historical movie, yeah, you get like, you find a Luger online for like a World War II movie. You find a Luger, and then you buy it, and then you take out all the mechanisms. But for like a modern movie. Like, there's plenty of prop guns,
use prop
that
guns,
have the right weight and everything, and they're just solid. That's the thing; they don't have any moving parts.
Yeah.
Maybe it clicks when you pull the trigger, but that's it.
But that wasn't good enough for the World War Z team.
So were they firing blanks, or were they just not firing anything?
They weren't. I mean, they wouldn't have been loaded. But there's obviously a problem in shooting your movie with just real guns.
Yeah. Brad Pitt walks off with one of them. He takes it home. He's like, "Oh shoot."
It would be.
He looks really bad in this.
Yeah, it's
Can
not.
I say that? Can I say that he looks gross?
It's not his best hair.
Yeah.
His best facial hair combo. Anyway, so.
Wow, that's a disaster.
Their guns were confiscated, and they had to redo the scenes, and that's why it ended up. They flew to China without their prop guns and shot the dumb hospital scene. And a big part of this...
And Brad Pitt's just doing finger guns the whole time.
Part of why they flew to China is because they lost a lot of money through the reshoots and this lawsuit that was put on them by, the Hungarian government. And so they just were like, all right, so how do we get our money back? So they stoked the Chinese movie market, and the easiest way to get that Chinese movie money is to just shoot scenes in China and then talk about how nice China is. And if you do that in an American movie, it'll like make more money in China. The Transformers do that all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, there was like a whole lawsuit with the Hungarian government, and eventually it was dropped. Get this, because they couldn't figure out where the fault was. Like, they couldn't find the identity of who messed it up so bad. It was such a cluster that they were like, whatever, just just get out of our country, please.
Just do better next time.
Just do better next time. And they gave him a slap on the wrist, and then they released a bad movie.
You stinkers.
And don't you come back.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like World War Z that much.
Okay, so how about this? Zombies, blood.
Yes.
Blood.
Okay.
Shark Attack, Jaws.
Yeah, that's pretty much there.
Okay.
World War Z was
Jaws.
a popcorn movie, so you probably could have just done that. Listen, who am I to judge? You know, I'm just gonna let you.
What even? Why would you even say that?
I'm sorry.
First you put me in prison, and now.
I'm sorry. I won't do it again.
Whatever.
Continue.
Jaws, everyone's favorite man-eating great white. Yeah. So.
Have I told you my opinion on Jaws?
No, tell me. 'Cause I don't really have much to talk about here. I just have a few fun facts.
Well, that's what we want today. It's a celebration. I don't like movies where, and Jaws is responsible for these movies, where it's a animal or just a force of nature with an agenda. You know, where you have
shark is only attacking black people.
Yeah, a shark that will, go out of its way to murder people in cold blood when that's just not really what sharks do.
I saw this really great post earlier that was like, people, there's this like enigma that sharks are evil and dolphins are good, but sharks have like no cognitive ability, so they're just animals. But
they're
dolphins
a true
have
neutral.
some cognitive ability.
Right.
So even if there's only one evil dolphin, there are still more evil dolphins than sharks. Like sharks don't have the capacity to be evil.
It's like true neutral versus lawful evil. That's the dichotomy of shark versus dolphin.
You think
dolphins
are lawful evil?
Dolphins are bastards, dude. Don't try to tell me that there's only one evil one. They're all bad.
But they make you swim faster in Minecraft.
Is that what dolphins do in Minecraft? I haven't played.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Recently, I've seen them, but I thought they were just there.
They're kind of just there, but if you swim next to them, they give you Dolphin's Grace enchantment or status effect, which makes you swim faster.
I saw commercials like as a kid for places in Florida or wherever where you get to go and swim with dolphins. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I thought that would have been great, but knowing what I know now,
in the ribs and kill you.
That seems like. Thank God I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Manatees are cool though.
I love manatees. I used to donate to manatees. Adopt a Manatee Foundation. Honestly, I haven't messed with my with that bank account that one was under, so I could still be donating to manatees today.
Well, aren't you the villain for not donating to manatees?
Yeah, manatees are cool.
Hey, when are we gonna stop talking about donating to manatees and start talking about donating to humanities?
Whoa. That was good.
That was dumb.
That was good. Write that down, actually.
So this is back to our classic director, Steven Spielberg. Mm-hmm. One of my favorites, one of the greats. Him and George Lucas were big buds, and that's kind of what I want to talk about. So when they were making Jaws, when Spielberg was making Jaws, he I don't know if you know this, but they actually made a shark. They made several sharks,
like animatronic shark. Yeah,
animatronic sharks, and they all looked terrible. Mm-hmm. They were just not. And Spielberg, when he saw this, rather than just giving up, he was like, well, we can work around this. Rather than him saying I'll just film a bad shark and that'll be it. He said, we just won't show the shark. And so now we get the iconic, when anyone thinks of Jaws, the first thing they think of is the classic theme and the fin in the water. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what kind of spawned that pop culture. It's in a lot of TV shows and a lot of other references where they have the fin in the water and the and that little. Dunno.
Yeah, dude.
That's just
freaking love references.
That recording session took 1 minute.
Somebody
came in with a French. some dude came in with a French horn and played an ascending half step, and that was it. And then they literally just like played that like clip of that interval, just like at a faster pace. Like they they just repeated that segment over and over again.
If it ain't broke,
he got paid for it, you know.
Yep.
And now it's super iconic. So you know that combined with the fact that the shark sucked makes like, you know, one of the biggest pop culture elements of all time.
That shark had a name, didn't it? The animatronic shark?
You know, I think it did, yeah.
It was Bruce.
It was Bruce, and that's why it was called that's why the shark in Finding Nemo was called Bruce, wasn't he?
Oh, Bruce, hey. Yeah, man.
It was because like the people who made it like were big into development.
For the rest of the episode, we will refer to the shark as Bruce. I will take
It's kind of
I will not take any questions.
Kind of ridiculous of us not to call him by his name. I mean, he has a name.
It is rude, yeah.
Yeah.
How's Bruce doing now?
So the fact that I think he's probably in somebody's like collection.
Yeah, I would hope so.
He's like cut in half, I'm pretty sure. It's like they have a left side and a right side that they filmed separately.
There's no way that sort of, what would it be, like a resin skin? There's no way that would hold up after all these years, right? No. Okay.
Well, unless maybe they coated it in something. I don't know. But yeah, this was one of the first ever like blockbusters.
Yeah.
This was released in 1975, so it was like one of the first ever films that just like made a ton of money, and it was the highest grossing film of all time up until the release of Star Wars in 1977.
Cool.
Right, shortly thereafter. And that's actually what I want to talk about is like, you know, Spielberg, when, you know, made something out of nothing with the shark, or literally made something out of never showing the shark. Whereas George Lucas just kind of did the opposite, where he had in Star Wars, you know, he did the best he could with what he had, but he was just never satisfied with it. And, you know, if you look up Star Wars now, there's so many different cuts of it with like different levels of animatronics and you know, every episode, or not animatronics, but rather
special editions.
Yeah, CGI.
You know, and I think, that first Star Wars it's a lot of sharks, sure, but it kind of nails that aesthetic that is subsequently ruined by the special editions, where it looks grimy, but you take it that it's supposed to look grimy, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Man, we're still talking about Star Wars. People are going to be talking about Star Wars for like the next century.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's like kind of a loose connection between Jaws and Star Wars, but that's what I wanted to bring up is like, you know, sometimes you just got to let a good thing stand, you know? Like, and newer doesn't always mean better. And we talked about on the sci-fi episode with what's his name? I don't know. The guy that did the filming in Firefly, sending back the expensive lenses and buying cheaper ones.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of the same deal. It's like, you know.
I just Googled what happened to the shark from Jaws. He apparently spent a very long time in a scrapyard, which is sad. But he will now... Bruce is heading to the Academy Museum, where he will be accepted to the collection. I'm looking up, that's according to NPR, I'm looking at the People Also Ask section of Google, and the top one is, did they use real sharks in Jaws? Glenn, did they?
No, I don't think so.
Are you sure?
There's there might have been like some like B-roll or something. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time, so I don't know.
My little brother went through this weird period where and you know, I did this too as a kid, where you get a movie, you know, and then that's like the movie you watch all the time. I think for me it was Lion King for a while. I watched The Lion King a lot. For David, my little brother David, at like 8, it was Jaws. And he just watched Jaws
knew
all the time.
Everything about Jaws?
Yes, yeah. He could like say all the lines. He was Is there a word for fans of Jaws, you think? Like Bruce Boys?
Biters.
Biters. I like it. Has anybody done a zombie name based on Biter? That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty good. If we make a zombie game, that'll be what they're called.
Okay, cool.
How about
Crunchers?
Crunchers.
Crunchers
is good.
Cool.
Fitting.
Mm.
That's basically the fun fact that I had. So
okay, it's
this one was,
it's not always.
It's a fun fact with a purpose.
With an agenda.
Being that with a message. The message being, don't mess with old stuff.
You hear that, George? We're coming for you, buddy. There's a lot of
Never mind. That's dumb.
I think the biggest problem with B movies, like B horror movies, is that
like movies about bees,
like movies about scary bees. The problem with a horror movie with like no budget is that they still try to show off effects like a Star Wars, but it's so shitty that it doesn't come out. If they would just
it's like you can
do a Jaws.
You can build so much suspense with just music.
Yeah. All right, so for our final thing today, like I said, I wanted this to be a celebration, so I'm celebrating our first 2 episodes where I talked about Mario.
Of our first child.
Yeah. So again, I'm talking about Mario. It would have made sense for me to talk about Super Mario 64 because that's sort of
our 64th episode.
64th episode, but it's sort of that transition, where it was like, this is the next big thing that Mario did. I'm instead going to talk about the canceled sequel to Super Mario 64, which went under the working title of Super Mario 128.
That's bad.
No, it's really good.
As a guy who's really into Powers of 2, I can officially tell you that's bad.
No, it's so good. Listen, so maybe you don't get it, but 64 is, so if you do that times 2, it's actually 128.
Oh, I get it.
No, but do you see that connection there? So it would...
Yeah, it's like 2 to the 5th and then 2 to the 6th. Yeah, I get it.
Do you remember when there was like a lot of rumors for the Xbox back when 360 was I was in middle school for that, so that's when everybody talked about Xbox, and it was always like the next one's going to be Xbox 720.
720, yeah.
We're all looking forward to the 720, and then they just called it Xbox One.
Which is the worst name, because now I can't talk about the original Xbox.
Yeah, it's so bad. They couldn't have chosen a worse one, except for Xbox One X, or whatever they called the follow-up.
PS1, PS2, PS3, it's that easy.
Their naming conventions are so much better. And don't even get me started on Nintendo.
They're all over the place.
They're just all over the shop. Anyway, I am talking about Nintendo today. So Super Mario 64 made that jump into 3D, and it was highly acclaimed for it. And so obviously they wanted to do a sequel. And Nintendo does that a lot today, where they'll just use the same engine, make a sequel. It makes sense, especially if the first one is really successful. And they did that later with like even on the 64, the Ocarina of Time, Zelda Ocarina of Time, and then Majora's Mask, same engine, right. But it's the same thing. So they wanted to do that, but they were planning on putting Super Mario 128 actually on the Nintendo 64 disk drive. So the 64 was a cartridge based. They made an attachment called the 64 disk drive, and it was supposed to rival Sony, because Sony was doing their discs, and people were like, Nintendo, what are you gonna do? And they're like, hey, we'll do that too. And so they released the disk drive in Japan, and it flops really hard because nobody understood it. The marketing was really bad. Nobody bought the disk drive.
They didn't really go into discs until the GameCube, right?
Yeah. And what's weird about the GameCube is that the discs are small. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, I don't know, because the thing about like when you think about like records, like they can come in any size, but you can't really do that with a disc. Like once you pick a size, you have to stick to it.
Yeah. Anyway,
and I don't think they saved that much money.
Yeah, I don't know. They are kind of all over the shop sometimes. Anyway, Disk drive didn't do well, and there's a lot of canceled games I actually have on my list of topics that are just like, this was the planned sequel, or this was a spin-off or whatever, and it was planned for the disk drive and it just didn't happen because the disk drive didn't happen. And so there's a lot of games like that.
It just shut them down.
Just shut them right down. Anyway, the Super Mario 128 name was so good that they couldn't just get rid of it. They reused it for a tech demo for the GameCube.
Isn't that the express purpose of a working title, is that you can like talk about it and not get it confused with other things?
No. So, GameCube at the 2001 Space World event, Nintendo was like showing off their hardware for the GameCube. And so they released this demo. And I'm actually really excited to talk about this because I've wanted to do tech demos for a really long time.
Okay.
I just think that it's fun talking about what they looked like before they became a full game.
Yeah.
So what the 128 tech demo looked like was, it starts off with just like a 2D Mario sprite, the one where he's jumping, and then it zooms in, and each pixel is like a box. And
like voxels.
Yeah. Yes. But then those voxels all transform into little Marios. Until eventually there are 128 little shitty looking Mario sprites standing on this platform.
That's dumb.
It's so good. And they're just standing around and they're just looking like not good Mario sprites, and they're walking, and you can like control Marios and like kick other Marios around, slap them off a cliff.
Is there a way to tell which one you control?
Yeah, the camera zooms in on them.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can like
that still sounds awful.
Well, let's agree to disagree on that. You can actually look it up if you want to. There's like footage of it. It honestly, it does look really bad, but it's I really like the idea. Anyway, for a tech demo, it was impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
And there was actually, and you won't believe this because you've been shitting on it the whole time, but there was a lot of hype around it.
Oh, I'm sure there was. I was just joking. I said it was probably not fun to play as 100 Marios.
Right. Well, people had fun apparently. The tech demo, it's so weird. So anyway, people were excited. Unfortunately, instead of that, they made Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube. So I like the aesthetic a lot. It's like that beachy island time, like that Jimmy Buffett-ass aesthetic,
totally.
And the gameplay is interesting. You get like this water spout thing that's like a backpack, and you use it to do interesting platforming stuff. Mm-hmm. If I could complain about it, it's going to sound nitpicky. But my only problem is that there's only one Mario. When I was promised,
honestly,
so many more.
Honestly, irresponsible of them not to come through on their promise for 128 Marios.
And even Miyamoto said, Shigeru Miyamoto, creator of Mario's dad, he specifically said like it was
Mario's
good.
Mom, actually, he's actually said that.
He's Bowser Jr.'s mom.
Oh, you're right. Mario's dad. Not sure how that works. Like, what, is he like an uncle to one of them and an aunt to the other? We stopped asking questions a long time ago.
It's tough to say. That man is an enigma. He even said that he, wanted to return to the Mario 128 concept because Sunshine was really more of a revisitation to 64 more than it was like a groundbreaking sequel in the way that 64 was,
Yeah. Honestly, this reminds me of the disappointment I felt when I ordered an Xbox 360 and I only came with one Xbox.
Because honestly, how dare they?
Yeah, I was promised 360 Xboxes.
It's like when you it's like marketing like shovelware games that are meant to confuse parents into buying, the Super Plumber Bros. It's just bad. It's it's
I see.
It's deceitful.
Like parents buy it thinking it's gonna be Mario.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It really it's shameful the way that Xbox handles their business. It's not Steve Jobs. Who is it? Bill Gates.
Billiam Gates.
Anyway, So for the next couple of years, people would ask Miyamoto and Reggie and other execs like, "Hey, so when's it coming? When's 128 coming out?" And so they kept saying like, "Oh, it's we're pushing it back, but it's gonna come." And then eventually it was like, "Oh, it might not. It's not on the GameCube, but it'll be on the next one."
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they used that engine to make Super Mario Galaxy. So still only one Mario, but it used that gravity effect that they had. So it's one way to do it.
Yeah.
They also, and I mean, that engine didn't go to waste. It was used for, that whole concept became Pikmin, the Pikmin games.
Okay, yeah.
Where it's, you're controlling this massive little guys. But, if I could have my way,
mm-hmm.
I would have tried to convince Miyamoto that 128 Marios is the way to go. In fact, if you like, I figure we could, I don't know, travel back in time and try to convince him.
Okay. Do you have the clicker or do I?
I'm sitting on it.
Okay, good. Because I couldn't fit that one in my prison wallet too.
Boo. Anyway, so here we go. We're going back to 2001 to try to convince Miyamoto that don't make Pikmin, just make a lot of Marios,
But I don't really have anything against Pikmin.
I don't either. But
I think Pikmin are cute.
I would like it better, and play with me here, I would like it better if it was Mario's, wouldn't you?
It'd definitely be something to talk about, yeah. So yeah, let's go and change history, Vincent.
All right, I pressed the button. So how would you, Glenn, pitch this game? Like, what would you want the gameplay to be?
Does she speak English?
There's
There's a massive flaw in our plan here.
I've seen him in interviews. Realistically, there's probably a translator.
A translator app on our clicker.
Well, no, but both of us have very expressive faces.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So
we'll nail it.
I think he'll understand. So, Miyamoto-san, we have this pitch for you. Glenn, what's the pitch?
I know you're thinking about little aliens right now. Forget them. Drop them.
Forget them. Nobody understands aliens.
Nobody. Yeah. What aliens? I mean, gross. Let's have some Marios. You know that tech demo that you made with all the 128 Marios? That would do so much better.
It's got me thinking, like, how about... I do like the style of gameplay that you get in a Pikmin game where it's like this lead controlling this mass of little guys to do various tasks. But in a game where it's 128 Marios, who would lead? Who would be the Olimar? Okay. So
you'll play like as Shiggy.
Okay.
And you'll be walking around with 128 little red men following right behind you.
How big are these Marios compared to Miyamoto, you think?
How tall is Miyamoto? Like, I don't know.
Human size.
Human size? Okay, so they're like...
Are we talking about like ankle size or like
I'm talking like
a small mouse?
Like ankle size. I think that's good.
Little ankle size Marios.
And he's got and they all just kind of like crowd around you at your feet.
Mm-hmm.
We could also mix it up. We could have some Luigis in there.
That would be...
multiplayer. One person plays as Shiggy, and another person plays as someone else.
A different person.
Or Shiggy too, and you have
there's like a
Mario's.
Reggie DLC.
There you go.
Where you download you can
Reginald.
Yeah, it's like a texture swap.
Yeah.
So you don't have to make like a whole new model. You just get that kind of the 3D skin and put it over Miyamoto's body.
Stretch it right over.
Okay. So the tasks we get them to do, if we do include like a Luigi, we could also do
this is less work for them.
Agreed.
I mean, yeah, because they've already made the Mario Tech demo.
Yeah. And you just make them green, and that's Luigi.
Yeah.
And easy enough that you could also add Wario and Waluigi,
By making
and they would have their
purple.
own gameplay mechanics to them. Wario's a heavier Mario.
Wario's big, real stinky, and Luigi is got long arms. Or while Luigi's got long arms.
That's true. So what if
Luigi can jump, right? Like that's his thing?
Yeah, he got ups.
Good for him.
Wish it was me. What does Miyamoto want these Marios to do for him? Is it like help out around the house? Is it like a housework simulator?
Yeah, okay.
Is it programming video games? Do you get the Marios to program other Mario games?
They're each one standing on its own individual key on the keyboard, and they're just hopping up and down.
I like it.
Okay.
This is solid. And because we're trying to convince Miyamoto, then telling him that it's
maybe we
less
can do
work
his
for
housework.
him.
Maybe we can do his housework so we can work on this.
Okay, I like it. I wouldn't mind. I'm sure he seems very organized.
Yeah.
What about we need mechanics, you know? We need gimmicks.
Yeah, so are the Marios going to be expendable like the Pikmin kind of are?
Yes.
I don't know if I feel comfortable. Okay.
Well, think about it. Mario already has like a weird relationship with death.
Yeah, he has many lives.
He has a lot of lives. Does he have a soul? Is a question that Super Mario Odyssey raises.
Isn't there's like a ghost or something?
Yeah, because there are ghosts in Mario. Are those ghosts the souls of dead Mushroom Kingdom? It doesn't matter.
Aren't the blocks like that Mario's breaking? They're like Mushroom Kingdom citizens that got turned into bricks.
Yeah, something like that.
And Mario just breaks them with impunity.
We should do that thing again where we...
You know what? I feel perfectly comfortable using Mario as an expendable.
Me too. He sucks.
He's a rat bastard.
Yeah. Here's what we should do, Glenn. Let's do that thing again where we count to 3 and add a gameplay element.
We need a name for this because you can't just say that thing.
No. That's all right.
Okay, yeah, you're fine.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Amiibo functionality.
Mario's. Okay.
Come on, man.
No. I don't mean like in a sexual way. I just mean like when Shiggy steps on one, they should go splat.
But he wouldn't do that.
Not on purpose. I've been playing Titanfall, and it's just really satisfying when you step on a human and your Titan is like...
Okay, all right.
You know
what
I mean?
Fair.
Like they turn into, and they wouldn't be like gory. It'd just be like a little splat, and there's like a little.
You're right. And we already have
stain.
this robust. We have this robust physics engine. We just take advantage of that. That's easy enough.
We just animate every particle of viscera inside his body, and then just release those.
Right. Ew.
No, that's dumb. A little red stain because he's a little red man.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe. Okay. How about
and
this?
Obviously,
they're not
for Wario, it would be
you
yellow.
Step on them, and they're like, "Oh no!" And they turn into like a little red stain, and then they come back up. They're like, "Boink!" You know what I mean?
They pop back up. Okay. Or how about?
Or his hat.
Okay. No, I got it.
He squashes down into his hat like one of those little poppets. You know, with
like a Looney Tunes bit. No, Glenn, I had an idea. Here's what we do. We make this a gameplay feature where if you step on a Mario or a Luigi or a Waluigi or a Wario, they go into their smaller form, you know, like the mushroom form, and then they can do even smaller things.
Okay.
So you have to have a balance between your talls and your smalls.
I like that. If we do have them go inside the hat, then they could be like little pucks that you could kick around. Like you could have the other Marios like flick them, and they like it.
So that's like there's like a crack in the floor, and so you have to kick a Mario.
And it's like
underneath
shuffleboard.
To get to the
It's
other
like
side.
shuffleboard where you like hit one with another one, and it like bounces them in the right direction.
I like that.
And then maybe you can command them to all come back up or something like that.
That's how we do the puzzles. Yeah.
Okay. You know, this started out as a shitpost, but it actually turned into something really nice.
Mm-hmm. And the amiibos, I think it's important
so you can have your other fun friends and characters be other little followers, like with different powers.
That
I don't like. No, that's pay.
That
to
might
win.
be. It's pay to win, and it would be difficult to program. So instead, what you could do is another texture swap and just have just Mario, but he's brown like Donkey Kong.
Okay, yeah.
I think that would fit all right.
That's nice.
Or what if, you know, amiibos aren't selling that great.
Yeah.
Because their functionality is limited.
Yeah.
You know, they exist for Smash Bros. And then for the rest of the games, they don't do much except for aesthetics. Right. So what if we make it so that this needs amiibos? What if it's like a Toys to Life game and you need 128 Mario amiibos before you can even play the game?
In some levels you just can't beat if you don't have the right amiibos.
Right, exactly. And so obviously, you know, you could just do it with 128 classic Mario originals, or you get, you know, and that's where the variety comes in, because it's whatever amiibos you have, you know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, highlighting diversity. That's like the key to popularity. It's
Metroid. It's like the Samus armor, but it's clearly just wrapped around his
like
flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need Zero Suit Samus. Okay, for that one we can make Mario a little bit thicker.
That wouldn't be too difficult. Well, how about we put that one over the Wario texture,
okay,
so
the
it's
Wario model.
So it's wider. Do we? You know, I was gonna say we should try to name this, but we have such a good name already. It feels it would be a waste to not keep 128. You know?
Yeah, Super Mario 128. Yeah, that's it.
How about? Is it? It might be a little deceitful.
How about Super Mario 2
just because
to the
7th? Well, okay. I like where you're going with that. How about it's because it's the number of Marios is the number of Mario amiibos you own, it's instead Super Mario however many you like.
Super Mario X, where X is the number of amiibos you own.
And then that's like the tagline.
No, that's the full title.
That's the full title. Okay.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
No, I mean, it would sell.
It's catchy.
Mario's a hot commodity. Yeah. Yeah.
Mario's a hot commodity and a hot plumber.
All right, you're embarrassing me in front of Mr. Miyamoto-san, so I'm pressing the button. We're going forward in time again.
Yeah. Now we're on lockdown because I've been missing for. Well, you know what? We would go back to exactly
I
the
put
same
you back
time.
exactly where you left.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not irresponsible.
Right. But I am wearing different clothes. I swapped. I'm wearing the T-shirt with Super Mario 128 on it because in this universe that we've now created, it exists.
Yeah. And also, I guess we've just created the functionality of swapping real people's textures. So if you want, you could look like Mario.
Yeah.
Just stretched over your human flesh.
I could just, I'd have to buy an amiibo first.
You don't have a Mario?
And then just swallow that whole, and then I would look like Mario.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, folks, that will be the show. So if you want to reach out to us, our email is developmentheaven@gmail.com.
Yeah, if you like the show, let us know. You can do so via our email or on Twitter @devhevpod.
Glenn, thank you for the intro music. That song is called Bird. It's on SoundCloud. We have it linked in the description.
Also linked are Matthew Inney and Natalie Quick. Matthew did our various logos, and Natalie did some great work on our cover, so thank you to them, and thank you to you for listening.
And if you want, feel free to leave a review in your podcatcher, whatever streaming service you use for podcasts. It really does help, so thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. We'll read your reviews on the show, so, get creative.
We didn't get any new ones this week.
Well, so they leave more.
Yeah.
This is your fault. Not you, Vincent, the listener.
I'm hurt anyway. I know it wasn't for me.
You're hurt for them.
But it doesn't make it sting any less,
You know what? You sent me to prison, so.
Get over it, man. Jesus.
I'll get over it when you bust me out of here.